You can see some pretty cool stuff that comes out of the community interaction. So if we get a healthy and happy community from the word go, I mean, I will be ecstatic, because I think that's the seed of any great game.
You all know what Fortnite is by now, surely. It's a battle royale game, a place to create your own games, and somewhere you can go if you need to be reminded that the current generation of young gamers are absolutely cracked out of their minds. It's also one of the most polarising games out right now, as no two people will ever agree on it. Here's what happens every time we mention Fortnite in a list on this channel. But how did Fortnite begin, and really begin? We all know how it came to be the curse of parents worldwide seemingly overnight, but what about before then, when Battle Royale was just an awesome Japanese movie? From mysterious delays to surprising beginnings, all the way up to the giant pop culture property it is now, Fortnite's history is almost as interesting as playing the game itself. Here's how Fortnite became Fortnite. But before then though, if you could slap the like and smash the subscribe, we promise to try and convince Epic to apologise for Season X. They must atone for their sins. So, whose idea was Fortnite anyway? So despite what you might have heard or read, there's no one person who can take the credit for coming up with the idea for Fortnite. Not Tim Sweeney, not Donald Mustard, not Cliff Bleszinski. We'll get to him. Instead, it was the product of an internal game jam in 2011, shortly before Gears of War 3's release, which would actually be the last game Epic would fully develop and not publish themselves. If you're wondering what a game jam is, it's kind of like a brainstorming session where people just throw loads of random ideas out there and then try to make it, and then whoever makes the best game wins the game jam, effectively that. However, Fortnite itself wasn't actually conceived as part of the game jam, just some of its concepts. Who came up with the Fortnite name and the overall package isn't credited to one person, so there may be an ex-Epic employee out there right now who is kicking themselves when looking at how huge the game has become. Seriously, could you imagine being that person? Could you imagine it? How could you get out of bed? And how could you not want some kind of credit for being a part of a game where Batman fights Predator? With Terraria and Minecraft as influences, the latter of which would follow the game all the way up to and after the game's release, Epic set to work on creating their next hit. The earliest days of Fortnite represent the game at its most different and most rushed. Believe it or not, Fortnite was due to be a lot darker, almost to the point of being a horror game. Early concepts featured zombies, gore, and an overall much more morbid tone, but Epic switched closer to the cartoonish style we know today before too long to help the game stand the test of time better, and also because it was easier to make. As for the name, it took Epic a lot of brainstorming to arrive at Fortnite before an email thread between employees provided the light bulb moment. But who exactly came up with the Fortnite name is still unknown. Seriously, how could you get out of bed? I keep saying this, but I think I'd just go to sleep forever. If you're curious about the intentional misspelling, that was just the flavour of the game. Flavour that has been confusing parents worldwide ever since. With little but concepts drawn up, and even those were bare bones, Cliff Bleszinski, lead designer on Gears of War and industry maverick, announced Fortnite as part of the 2011 Spike TV Video Game Awards, along with the very first trailer for the game. We've had amazing success with games like Gears of War and Infinity Blade this year, but we decided it was time to switch things up a little bit and do something different and fun, said Bleszinski at the time. Imagine a world where you explore, you scavenge, and you build, and ultimately you survive. Cliff Bleszinski left Epic just under a year later to go into semi-retirement from the games industry, before returning to form Boss Key Productions in 2014. Inspired by the success of Fortnite and other Battle Royale games, Boss Key would release Radical Heights into alpha in 2018 in a last-ditch attempt to save the company, but it wasn't successful. And now it seems that Cliff Bleszinski is permanently retired. The trailer was simple, it's showing survivors building themselves a shelter from zombies from a camcorder perspective. While not a massive hit in a show that also saw the surprise reveal of The Last of Us among others, Fortnite's first trailer was intended to show people that Epic weren't just the Gears of War guys. However, Donald Mustard, Fortnite's creative director, would later reveal that the game came together just 3 weeks after Epic had put together the first design doc. In other words, they hadn't actually built a single pixel of the actual game yet. With Fortnite's name out in the world and a little bit of momentum behind them, Epic expected the game to have a quick development cycle. It was anything but. Following the cinematic reveal, it'd be another 6 months until Fortnite would get another outing in a behind closed doors gameplay showing to press at the San Diego Comic-Con 2012. Well reported. Now sadly there's no footage from the demo out there anywhere, so we're kind of going off eyewitness kind of testimonies. The basics of Fortnite were there to see already: harvesting and building. Cliff Bleszinski also said at the time that Fortnite would be a PC exclusive and that it would be the first game developed using Unreal Engine 4, but apart from that, Fortnite was still kind of a mystery to the general public. Fortnite would then remain in the shadows for 2 whole years before appearing on the cover of Game Informer in May 2014. 2012 to 2014 was a bit of a rough, uncertain period in Epic's history, following Tencent controversially acquiring 40% of the company for $330 million, which seemed to be the catalyst for a lot of Epic's biggest names, including Cliff Bleszinski and Rod Ferguson, to depart, leading to a lot of restructuring within the studio. This restructuring, along with the growing scope of the game, is often cited as why Fortnite was AWOL for so long. Fortnite also drastically increased in scale, going from a straightforward action game to something far more complex that would keep players invested for a long time. Epic hired developers from the MMO world to help morph Fortnite into an RPG, featuring progression, deep upgrades and broad multiplayer integration that would last the distance. The Game Informer coverage was the best glimpse at Fortnite yet, with tons of features on all of the classes, enemies and even some hands-on impressions of the game in which it started to look a lot like the Fortnite we know today. It was also revealed that Fortnite was due to launch in 2014 as a free-to-play game. Oh, Epic, you silly bitches. That clearly wasn't to be. 3 more years ticked by before Fortnite would eventually release, as the game continued to be moved up and down the priority list for Epic, as well as its vision and scale constantly shifting. Fortnite at the time was basically the Swiss Army knife that Epic kept forgetting they even had. Epic were busy with other projects at the time, namely Paragon. Remember that? Remember that, anyone? Comment down below. My word, what a flashback, eh? Which was a notoriously unsuccessful MOBA that was eventually killed off as a result of Fortnite's success compared to its own. Ironically, Fortnite's fans, some of whom were getting to grips with the game in stress tests in 2016, were concerned at the time that Paragon would overshadow Fortnite, which is kinda like Lord of the Rings fans being worried that they'd be overshadowed by Eragon. While Paragon survived just fine on its own at the time of Fortnite's initial release, its cancellation was announced just 5 months after the release of Battle Royale. Paragon's assets were released for free following its cancellation, eventually leading to the development of Predecessor, a spiritual successor currently in development from Omega. Following the aforementioned stress tests and a pretty massive PR cycle to remind people that it was indeed a thing, Fortnite finally got its release date, July 21st, 2017. Well, kind of. You see, Fortnite was a free-to-play game that had a paid beta, a concept that is still utterly ridiculous to this day. Players could purchase different editions for different rewards in-game, including founder status for free V-Bucks and cosmetics, and that was the only way to play what would eventually become a free game. As the years ticked by, Fortnite's PvE would instead never go free to play, as promised, with players these days able to buy different packs to access the mode instead, which is a shame. Fortnite received a warm reception from critics, with plenty praising its style and unique building mechanics. However, it was pretty broadly criticised for its almost overblown gameplay systems, repetitive gameplay systems, and monetization schemes in the form of loot boxes. Our review at the time critiqued it for being a bit of a grindfest, as well as having some rather clunky controls and generally not being fun when played solo. As an example of just how much BR has consumed Fortnite over the years, there are very few reviews of Fortnite that are actually for the game it launched as, with most of them being updated to be all about the BR instead. PC Gamer just kind of nuked its old review about Save the World, for instance. That's almost the saddest thing I've ever seen. Commercially, the common belief is that Fortnite underperformed at the time of launch, but it did reach 1 million players within a month, which isn't a bad figure at all for a paid beta. Let me just re-emphasize, a paid beta. It didn't seem to stick in the public consciousness all that well though, leading to a lot of concerns over its long-term appeal. You can see a definite dip in people searching for the game on Google shortly after its release. With mediocrity possibly looming, Epic had one unknown player to thank. as Fortnite released and most people glanced over in its direction and wondered what it all meant before looking elsewhere, there was another kind of storm brewing, the Battle Royale. While far from the first BR, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, PUBG, quickly became an absolute phenomenon after its launch into Steam Early Access in 2017, putting up player figures that haven't been replicated since, even when people were stuck in their homes and all kinds of gaming records were being broken. Players really responded to its last man standing gimmick, with PUBG being at the top of Steam charts for concurrent players and being everywhere you looked. Really, the incredible breakout success of PUBG deserves its own video. If you want to see that, let us know down below. It was this success that saw Epic Games basically piecing together a BR counterpart in just 2 months, with work starting almost the second the main game had released into early access. Fortnite's BR was actually intended to be locked behind a paywall as another incentive for people to buy into its paid beta, but Epic changed their minds 2 weeks before launch. Development was aided by some members of the Unreal Tournament team, bring Unreal Tournament back right now by the way, with Battle Royale launching on September 26th, 2017 for PC, PS4 and Xbox One. Fortnite Battle Royale was clearly inspired by PUBG at the time of launch, right down to the team killing. Do you remember when team killing was in Fortnite? Wow, that was a crazy, toxic time. But it separated itself with its own, for lack of a better word, weirdness. You couldn't rocket ride and dance on your enemies in PUBG, that's for sure, and you also didn't have to have a high-end PC or money to run it either. Being free may have been the biggest weapon in Fortnite Battle Royale's locker at launch. Perturbed that someone was trying to claim a slice of their gigantic, massive pie, Bluehole, the team behind PUBG, actually sued Epic for copyright infringement after Donald Mustard outright mentioned PUBG was an influence. Very smart move there, Donald. But it didn't hold up, and the lawsuit was dropped later in the year. Funnily enough, PUBG also used the Unreal Engine, with Bluehole also later being partially acquired by Tencent, the mega corporation who had purchased a large stake in Epic 6 years earlier. Both games coexisted despite the animosity, and both still flourish to this day, despite what the dead game memesters on social media may lead you to believe. And the rest, as they say, is history. Classic Fortnite was renamed to Fortnite Save the World, and it wasn't long before Battle Royale came to be known as simply Fortnite, the metaverse swallowing monolith that we all know and love /hate/tolerate. Meanwhile, in terms of Epic, they have become an especially private company in the years since Fortnite blew up. So it's really a shame that we can't have a more in-depth look at the past of Fortnite. I mean, when was the last time they just had an interview with someone, anyone, explained anything to anyone? But even if they were to open their doors, nobody involved with the company, past or present, could tell you with a straight face that they ever imagined Fortnite would become what it is today. And if you're ever bouncing ideas around in an email thread, here's a quick reminder, be sure to screenshot, because you never know, one day you could earn millions from a banana and a massive cat with muscles. So there was just a quick glimpse into the past of Fortnite. Did you enjoy this? Would you like more like mini documentaries like this? We love making them, so if you do, please, it's please but made with butter, please let us know down below, and thank you for